Well, hi, boys and girls. This is Pastor Jerry down in my office in my home down here on Area 139. I'm coming straight to you because I was just walking around my library here and just wondering if, well, what you're doing there at home during this COVID-19, stay at home. I'll bet you're driving your mom crazy. I would if it was me, so I don't know. I've been in my library trying to do some studies and I just thought of you and just wondered what was your favorite story back in the day. I got a lot of books here and here comes one of my favorite ones. It's a Bible. You know what a Bible is, don't you? It's that thing that you throw on the floor, you hide under the shelf that you never get out. Nah, that's not what it is it? The Bible is God's basic instructions before leaving Earth. And it's a very important book, and I hope you're reading into it like I read into it, but I thought I'd just challenge you and send you something each week in the mail that if you complete it and watch these YouTube videos, then if it comes back to me from your parents, then I'd have a very special, wonderful surprise for you. So let's get right to it. Let's go into my office. You know, God's word says, teach a child in the way that he should walk, and when he gets old, he won't depart from it. And that's my hope for our Hebron children and young people, that they learn God's word and they hide it in their heart so that when they get old, they don't sin against God. And speaking of stories of the Bible, I happen to have my Bible open today to Genesis 1:1. One of my favorite verses. You know why? Because it gives me a good joke for the family. How many of you are sports fans out there? Do you ever watch baseball? Genesis 1:1 is the first recorded baseball game ever in God's Word. It says, in the big inning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's not right, is it? No, it's not about a baseball game. It's about God's love for you and I. And here we have God making you and making me and everything in this earth just so that we would be able to have a relationship with you. So here's your challenge for the day. In just a minute, we're going to talk about God's creation story. But in this week, in the mail, your parents are going to get some activity sheets. It's to remind you of the story that I'm going to share with you, and it gives you something to do while you're at home. If you complete that activity sheet, and you go on the back side, and there's a nice picture for you to color, and if you can repeat the memory verse to your parents are going to put this star on your activity sheet. And if that activity sheet makes its way back to me, well, I've been known to reward people with some greenbacks, maybe some treats, or maybe I just might take you out to a special treat at McDonald's, just you and I, where we can have some time together. You got to do your part, and I'm going to do your part. So just take a seat and enjoy just a few moments with me. Remember Genesis 1:1. What was that story? Can you repeat it for me? I think I can hear. You might want to say it just a little bit louder. In the beginning, God created what? The heaven. Is that all he created? No, he also created the earth, didn't he? And he did it because he loved you and I. But how did we get here? We got here because God put us here. So let's look at the creation story. There are a lot of things that it tells you and I. First of all, I want you to know if God said it, then it happened. And one of the most famous words that God used in the beginning was, let there be. And every time he said, let there be, something magical happened. It was. And on that first day, you know what he said? He said, let there be light. And he said, make the light day and make the darkness night. And that's how you and I got the days and the nights of this world that we live in. And God wasn't done there. He said, look at all the water. And he said, let's part the water. And when he said, let there be water parted, guess what? He said, let there be space between the water. But that wasn't all. He said, let there be sky and make it blue in the heavens. And we have that. And then he said, let the land and the seas be formed and make them separate. And after he got done with that, he said, "This is good." And he was happy about his creation. But then he wasn't finished. He said, "Let's make not only land and sea, but let's make plants and flowers. And let's put some fruit on them and put them all over the land so that, well, one day somebody could enjoy them." And then when he did that, he said, "Well, we're going to need light for the day and we're going to need light for the night." And he created the sun for the day and he created the moon and the stars for night. And again, God looked at all that he did and he said, "This is really good too." But he wasn't done. You know what he did? He created living creatures. He put some in the air and he put some in the sea. You know what those are. What flies in the air? Can you tell me? What swims in the sea? You're right, birds and fishes. And God created those living creatures. But he wasn't done either. He put little creepy, crawly critters on the earth too that could crawl all over the land. We might know them as insects, maybe animals. I have an animal that lives with me. His name is Nugget. Many of you know him. He's one of my best friends. But God gave him to me. And he also created him. But finally, God said, "Let us make some people." And he made man and he made woman. He first made man out of the dust and he made him and he breathed life into him. And then he thought that man needed a companion, somebody to share this great, beautiful garden that he was making for them in this world that he put into existence for you and I. So he took a rib out of Adam and he gave it to Eve and he created Eve from it. So woman came from man. And he said, "Go out there and have a lot of children and occupy this beautiful garden that I have given you." And that's the story how it all started. When? Back in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth. Well, I'm going to come to you with another story later in the week. It's going to be about Adam and Eve, and I hope you're ready. But until then, why don't you take these activity sheets that your parents have, and after you're done watching this video, why don't you just finish them and then share that story with somebody. How God created all that there was, and when he was done, the Bible said he said it was good, and he sat down and he rested from all of his work. And that's why we have Sunday. It's the day of rest. So you get your rest, you have fun with these activity sheets, and I'll see you next week. Happy story hunting!